What's going on, guys? It's gonna be your boy here, Simple, bringing you basically my first deck review ever on Clash Royale. Um, and it's gonna be my favorite deck. It's gonna be my graveyard cycle deck. Well, cycle, yeah. It's gonna be my favorite graveyard deck. The deck that's brought me the most success to date in Clash Royale. I've won 5 grand challenges in a row with this deck. Uh, but at that time I was using the Goblin Gang version, Goblin Gang instead of the Goblins, and I'm gonna get into why I switched to Goblins and everything a bit further on in the video. Alright, so first off, I'm from a clan called Team Cold. Uh, we're from an island in the Caribbean called Curacao. If you guys have the chance, definitely look that up. It's a great island. But yeah, moving on to the deck. This is going to be my personal favorite graveyard deck, simply because it has great offensive abilities and defensive abilities, while keeping the average elixir cost. I believe it's 3.5, or with the goblins it might be 3.4. So you have the ability. It's not the fastest cycle in the world, but you do have the ability to cycle. Definitely quicker than some other decks, and the attack power of this deck is just so strong. You can see right here, I'm facing the Three Musketeer meta deck that's going around. It's just crazy, insane to deal with. And you can see I'm not giving him any chance to pump up right here. I'm straight up saying if you're gonna pump, I'm gonna attack, and I'm gonna make sure I try to keep up with his cycle, because this deck does have a pretty fast cycle. The deck that my opponent is playing, Mr. Julio. There I could have decided to... No, I actually made the right play with my executioner back, because I had a feeling he was gonna put down his Three Musketeers. And here, of course, I poisoned him. I'm hoping he doesn't have heal at this point in time, just because heal has really been giving me some trouble lately with this deck. Just because you spend 4 elixir to poison him, and you split your defense out on the opposite lane, expecting that the Musketeers will die. But if they have heal, to your surprise, that's a different story. So heal has definitely been a thorn in my side. The decks that I love, the decks that match up pretty well, against with this deck are usually sort of pump decks. Like this deck can work out. The Three Musketeer deck can work out. It can work out for you in your favor if you have a good cycle. Like here, you can see again, I'm just attacking that pump. No matter what, I'm attacking that pump. I'm not gonna let him pump up. And preferably, I want to get rid of the pump without using my poison. There you can see I successfully get that done. And it's been like that consistently throughout this match. So I was able to take the game without losing basically any damage to my towers. That's pretty insane. But yeah, there you can see it worked out for me that time. But a lot of times it might be a little bit more difficult than that against a good Three Musketeer player, let's say that. And now we're basically facing my favorite matchup with this deck. As you can see, I'm getting WhatsApp messages. Of course, I forgot to turn on Do Not Disturb. Lesson learned. But yeah, I'm facing my favorite matchup here, which is going to be the Golem. I love facing Golem with this deck just because, I don't know, I've had a lot of success with it. The Executioner Tornado has been just wrecking the Golem and all the support troops behind it. I've just been having a good time against this deck. Alright, so here you can see he pumps up, and I think this is where I realizes he has a Golem. I saw a Night Witch, a Baby Dragon, so I basically realized it was a Golem deck. And against Golem decks, I risk a lot to take out the pumps. Let's just say that, put it that way. I risk a lot to take out my opponent's pumps. There you can see I kind of overextended with a poison, just because I really wanted to get rid of that pump. Obviously, it's easier to take out the pump if they put it behind their base, but a lot of people put the pump in the middle of the King Tower just to avoid getting rocketed, etc. But here you can see, here's a perfect example. I can either defend this Night Witch or attack the pump. I choose to attack the pump sacrificing a lot of health off my tower. Some people say that's ludicrous, but against golem decks, that's the type of way I play. Maybe I could have been a bit more, conservative, because I did take a lot of damage on the from the Night Witch, but hey, it works out in my favor this time. So I get rid of the pump, or most of the health off of that pump. Excuse me, and now I have a golem headed my way. So of course I love to put my Night Witch in the back just to start spawning those bats. Here I get a value poison, so I decided to use that. And here you guys will see the benefit of the Executioner, Tornado, Ice Spirit combo. Oh, I forgot to mention as well, I'm covering two versions of this deck within this video. You saw first we had the goblin version, and this version is the one I won the 5 grand challenges with. I used the Ice Spirit instead of the log, which it just gives me a lot of extra value on my Executioner, Tornadoes, and just generally on the defensive side of things. The Ice Spirit is a great card, extremely valuable for 1 elixir. You can get a lot done with that card. Alright, so here pretty straightforward. He decides to lightning me. I decide to end the game with a graveyard poison push. Always you want to have a tank, of course. That's the basic of graveyard decks. You want to have a tanking for your skeletons, and the Night Witch is a perfect card to do that because it also spawns bats. So you basically have air troops, a bunch of air spawny things, and a bunch of skeletons on the ground. So if your opponent has zap, it can work out for him, but a lot of people that run log, it's gonna be tough because the bats are on their tower, the skeletons are on. They can only get rid of the bats really, and if they kill the Night Witch, it's Bat City, let's say that. Alright, so here we're going against a giant deck, and I want to pause really quickly on some of the strengths and the weaknesses that I've experienced with this deck. I'm sure maybe someone else that's played this deck has maybe might have different opinions, but as I said, Golem is my favorite type of deck to play with this deck. I think that this deck is pretty weak against the heal decks, so 3 Musketeer heal decks. I really struggle against those decks just because they usually catch you by good heal players catch you by surprise. They don't just throw their heal out there so you know that they have heal. They catch you by surprise. They wait for their opportunity, and usually that's all it takes for them to win the match. On top of that, I found it pretty difficult to beat the traditional Splashyard version of this deck, which is going to be the Baby Dragon Bowler version. That deck, it's kind of hard to deal with simply because you have so much tanky units that all deal splash damage, E-Wiz, all type of things in there. So that can give you some trouble, but it's not the end of the world. The one I've struggled against the most would be the 3 Musketeer heal decks. Alright, so we have a giant coming in here. Of course, I place down my Executioner, and there I go with my tank killer, which is the Night Witch. And tip, a lot of times you don't actually need your Tornado. A lot of times you can save that elixir to go on the counter attack, to go on the offensive. There you can see I didn't use my Tornado. I decided to take a bit of tower damage to have a better offense right here, and I end up taking his tower. Good for me. And I'm not too sure I would have been able to do that if I used that much elixir on defense. Alright, so you can always use your towers as a resource, as an elixir resource to save elixir, especially if you have enough bat spawn, enough troops on the field to deal with most of the opponent's push, like deal with his tank. The support troops are pretty much easily taken out. Baby Dragon doesn't do that much damage, so and here you can see a perfect example. I had troops left over from his last push, so I decided, okay, I'll go on the offensive. I know my Knight and my Executioner can do enough work to the giant that'll finish it off. So that's gonna be it for me here. We covered three matches here with this Graveyard Cycle deck. Let me know what you guys think of the deck, and I'll probably do another review on this deck, probably some live matches coming up next, just to give you guys a few more tips and tricks on how to play this deck and a few more versions with this deck. Alright, so I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and of course I'll be reading the comments in this video as it's my first. So if you guys have any questions or remarks of the deck, please let me know. I want to thank you guys again for tuning in, and have a good day, guys. Take care.